All right, so if you're looking to get started with the weighted calisthenics journey, or perhaps already started your weighted calisthenics journey, this video is going to show you everything you need to know about when you can start weighted calisthenics, how often you should train per week, and then also what are the best progression methods for getting insanely strong. All right, so in order for us to begin our weighted calisthenics journey, we need to identify these three things. First, what are the prerequisites for starting weighted calisthenics? Second, what is the most ideal training frequency? And then thirdly, what are the best progression methods? So a little bit about myself. I've been training weighted calisthenics for the last 3 years now specifically. Got to a point where I can do a 3-rep max of 145 pounds on the weighted chin-ups, another 3-rep max on the weighted dips for 205 pounds. And just to kind of throw it out there, my near-term goals is to hit 160 pounds for a 3-rep max on the chin-ups, and then also 225 pounds for a 3-rep max on the dips. So that said, I'm just trying to give y'all quick stats and, credentials about, my own strength and also my personal goals, so y'all can kind of see, I started from where y'all started, I was a beginner once myself, but in no way I'm not going to classify as myself as as an elite athlete, but I would say I'm for sure advanced, but just under the threshold of elite. But we can get into that in the next part of this video. So that being said, I'm going to use my own experience and the experiences of hundreds of consultees that I've connected with for either one-on-one coaching, creating custom weighted calisthenics programs, or to simply chat and answer any questions. So based on all that, in order to start weighted calisthenics, it makes the most sense to have good base strength with your pull-ups and dips. This also includes other vertical pull-ups, variations like the neutral grip pull-ups and chin-ups, meaning getting at least 8 to 12 reps on the pull-ups and its variations is ideal. Then obtaining at least 10 to 15 reps on the dips is also ideal. And to be more specific, this means that you need to fall within this rep range for at least 3 sets for both the pull-ups, chin-ups, and dips. Now that we answered the first question in this video, this then leads on to understanding what is the most realistic and ideal training frequency that we should approach for our weighted calisthenics routine. Now, just to talk about myself, I'm gonna say that I've only consistently trained the weighted pull-ups or chin-ups and dips for a matter of 2 times per week. I never done any more than that on a consistent basis over the last 3 years. So I can confidently say that just having a 2 times per week training frequency is sufficient, right? More than sufficient probably. But I'm also gonna say that having a 3rd session could prove to be beneficial, but you just gotta approach it within the right way. So it's possible, but it's not completely necessary to have that 3rd session. But just in case you wanted to do it 2 or 3 times per week, I'm gonna go ahead and provide a very thorough example week so you can kind of understand how to implement it in a practical sense. Which then leads on to the 3rd question of this video. What are the best progression methods for improving in weighted calisthenics for beginners? Now remember, keyword, beginners, right? So this video is centered around you pretty much being a beginner within weighted calisthenics. That doesn't mean you're a beginner within calisthenics itself, but the niche of weighted calisthenics, you definitely are a beginner. Meaning you either have very low, numbers on the weighted pull-ups and dips, or you probably just started your weighted calisthenics journey today or last week, right? Or just getting into it. Now, I'd easily classify you as a beginner if you have weighted pull-up 1-rep max of say anywhere less than 45 to 55 or 60 pounds, right? Same thing applies for the weighted dips of a 1-rep max less than anywhere between perhaps 70 to 90 pounds, right? So if you're not hitting these strength numbers, then you're definitely a beginner. So that's just for you to get an understanding of where you're at, right? Objectively speaking. Now, for me personally, I seem to fall between the advanced and elite category, but I wouldn't say I'm advanced because I feel based on the numbers, I'm well above advanced, but I'm definitely not elite because there's a big gap between advanced and elite. So I would probably say I'm the upper tier of advanced or the lower tier, the absolute lower tier of elite. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of layers to this process of identifying what are my strength standards compared to the rest of the world. So I'm pretty content with where I'm at. Still have goals to shoot for, but I'm not going to beat myself up for it based off what a website told me, But anyways, enough of the strength standards. Let's get back to the topic of this video. In order to progress as efficiently as possible in weighted calisthenics as a beginner, you want to train with the straight set method, but more specifically, having 2 sessions with varying rep ranges and loads. Now this can be classified as having a strength day and then also a volume-based day. Now on your strength-based day, which I recommend to train first, you want to start off with training for 3 sets of 5 reps where you can choose a load where you can stay within that set and rep range. But you want to keep in mind that the goal is to essentially have a completion of 5 total sets for 5 total reps with that same load, right? Now, let me provide a more practical example, okay? If we're training the weighted dips and you can currently do 3 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds, you then want to increase the number of sets by 1, which is one of many ways to implement progressive overload. So then you want to train 4 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds as well. Now, this may take a week to accomplish, maybe even 2 to perhaps 3 weeks. It's all relative to just how hard you train and how well recovered you are. Once you get to that point, you then want to add another set, which will put you at 5 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds. Now, congrats. You might have just took about a process of 2 months to kind of complete this 5 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds, right? So we started from 3 sets of 5, and then now we all worked up to 5 sets of 5, which can take about, anywhere between 2 months or so. That said, we're gonna classify this as one training block. So typically a training block consists of a period of weeks. All right, so let's kind of keep it more practical. This can be anywhere up to 8 weeks. For me personally, that's anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks specifically. So we're gonna keep that in mind. We finished one training block, which took about 2 months to get to 5 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds. Now we're gonna be moving on to the next training block, right? So here's how you start it. You don't wanna jump straight into the same loads as where you left off. Otherwise, you'll more than likely just feel weaker and just not 100% there. So take the first week to warm up by training at 60% from where you left off. So if you left off at 45 pounds, then us training at 60% will leave us with the working load of 27 pounds. Now, me personally, I would just round up or down to the nearest weight increment that you can add to your weight belt. So to start off block 2 in week 1, we'll use 30 pounds and just do 3 sets of 5 reps. Then for week number 2, we can train close to or at our previous max load and also complete 3 sets of 5 reps with 45 pounds. Then for week number 3, you would increase the load just above your previous PR. So in this case, I'll jump it by, let's say 10 pounds, doing 3 sets of 5 reps. Now, this will be considered our working weeks. We are fully primed and ready to start training intensely. And at that point, you'll just keep increasing the number of sets until you get to that 5 sets of 5 rep goal and rinse and repeat that process. So hopefully that made a lot of sense, right? Then we'll be going to our second training session, which is more focused on volume, meaning we're gonna be training within the high repetitions. In a practical sense, we want to do 3 sets of anywhere between 8 to 10 reps, right? You want to stay within that rep range of 8 to 10. Now, the way we're going to be approaching progressive overload, that is going to be different from our strength training session, right? So instead of increasing the number of sets, what we're going to be doing is manipulating the number of repetitions or the number of loads over the course of our training block. Meaning we want to stay within the 8 to 10 rep range before increasing the loads, or what we can do is hyperfixate on hitting the higher end of the spectrum, say getting 10 reps per set before increasing the loads. Now, personally, I'll take the former because I don't want to limit or be too strict on myself, or perhaps try to get 10 reps out of 2 of the 3 sets before increasing the loads, just so I can comfortably say that I mastered that particular load within the 8 to 10 rep ranges. Now, if you implement both the strength and volume-based training sessions while adjusting the number of sets, reps, or loads over courses of like 6 to 8 weeks as your training block, then there's no doubt in my mind that you're gonna be progressing in weighted calisthenics. But hey, what do I know? If you want to see more content like this, be sure to follow, man. I'm the Tough Fitness Scout here. No cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's #1 out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.